Thank you, Your Honor. Question number 1. Are you a religious person?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Question number 2. Do you feel that you were targeted in this case?
I do. Objection, relevance is opinion about that.
Sustained. And the jury is directed to disregard the last answer and the question.
Question number 4. Why is it that the FLDS, or members of the Fundamentalist Church of Latter-day Saints, seem so secretive?
Objection, character, religion, relevance, pretrial motions and orders.
Sustained.
Has there been any change to the witnesses that were in the trailer and vehicle in this incident?
Objection for the question and relevance.
Could you reread the question, Mr. Armstrong?
Yes. Has there been any change to the witnesses that were in the trailer and vehicle in this case?
Sustained and relevance.
Do you meditate before traveling?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
When you were stopped, did the Flagstaff Police Department tell you or your passengers anything about the nature of the stop?
Objection, calls for hearsay.
Could you reread the question?
When you were stopped by the Flagstaff Police Department, did they tell you or your passengers anything about the nature of the stop?
The court will allow the question as it pertains only to Mr. Bateman.
Okay, yes. So they mentioned that they were just going to let us go with a misdemeanor and that we shouldn't do it anymore. And they were just going to let us go until Officer Green showed up, and then everything seems to change after he got there.
Question 8, do you believe that a person's motive, that their mens rea, has anything to do with how a person is judged?
Objection, I think this is argument, better safe for closing argument.
Sustained.
Question number 9, do you consider yourself an experienced driver? Or a careful person, I apologize.
Yes, I do. Actually, very careful. I try to calculate everything that I do and make sure that there's not extreme dangers. I actually have a lot of experience in driving trucks and trailers for, I would say, several 100,000 miles. So.
Question 10, do you consider yourself a prophet?
Objection, relevance, pretrial motions.
Sustained.
Question 11, how do you feel about people describing your character?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Question 12, under what form of belief were you raised under?
Objection, relevance, pretrial
Sustained.
motions.
Question 13, would you consider yourself to be kind and patient?
Objection, character, pretrial motions.
I'll allow it.
What's that?
I'll allow it.
Yes, I do. I'm an extremely caring person, and I'm very patient and kind, and I don't force people into doing anything.
Question 14, why are there very few of your friends at your hearings?
Judge, relevance.
Sustained.
Question 15, under what mindset do you raise your children?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Question 16, do you care about your friends and family and about the people who were with you on this trip?
Yes, I do with all my heart. I love them more than my own life.
Question 17, prior to being charged in this case, had you heard of a child abuse case before, and what were your beliefs on child abuse?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Question 18, are you sympathetic towards children or the underprivileged?
Objection, relevance. character,
Sustained.
Question 19. While incarcerated, have you been in a fight or an argument?
objection, relevance,
Sustained.
Question 20. Would you describe yourself as a strong-willed person, or are you gullible?
objection, relevance,
Sustained.
Question 21. Do you believe in letting others make their own choices?
objection, relevance,
I'll allow.
Yes, that's the basis of all that I believe is free agency, let everyone choose. Teach them correct principle, let them govern themselves.
Would you consider yourself a charismatic or persuasive person?
objection, relevance,
Sustained.
Question 23. Are you a deceitful person?
objection, relevance, and the court's rules,
Sustained.
Question 24. When you left the last gas station that you stopped at, did you know that the girls were in the trailer?
I did not.
Would it
I
have,
apologize.
okay.
Let me do a little further explanation on that. I knew they were in there the whole time, but my plan is when I got on the freeways, is to put them is to have them hop in the vehicles where they can be seated down, because I was concerned about the 75-mile-an-hour speed limits. And I saw Ruth get out of the trailer and head over to a different vehicle. And so I honestly thought that there's nobody in there, or else why on earth would I have left with the doors open?
Would it ever be your intent to do harm to people?
objection, relevance, character,
Sustained.
Could you please explain in detail the 10 minutes before the stop eventually occurred in Flagstaff on August 28th of 2000, on August 28th, the day of the incident?
Yes, I can. So we came from 389 heading south, because we were going to Tucson to this Grant Cardone conference, and
Could you just slow down?
yes, well, and we stopped at Silver Saddle, and a gentleman approached us and seemed to be kind of a little bit angry. And so I was already a little bit on the edge. I was like, my goodness, when I heard that guy question us very firmly. And so I was already thinking, because I wanted to get him into vehicles before we hit the freeway. And so I was already planning on that. Then I left thinking that all those girls had got out of the trailer, and I was just assuming they closed it. I had no idea they were still back there. Anyway, I headed south on, I think it's 389 until you hit the first road, crossroad, I'm not sure the names of everything. And there's also a freeway entrance right there. And I turned right and pulled off onto the freeway. And about right, I think it was actually on the off ramp when I got the call from Dottie. I'm saying, hey, this door's open. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I didn't know if I should pull over it, and I didn't know how far it was open or anything. And right around that time was when I saw Crosby, and he pulled right up behind me on the corner of the trailer. And so I was already just kind of a little bit on the edge. And I'd also had, I know people may not believe in telepathy or whatever you want to call it, but I'd already had some telepathic experiences when Mr. Horsley pulled me over. That showed me that this was actually coming. Anyway, they may not believe it, but it's very scientific principles. So I was just really on the edge, and he pulled over, or pulled right behind me, and so I pulled off onto the side of the road, and he pulled in around just like he described, and then I pulled off on that first exit off the freeway again. I think it's like 1 mile or something in between there. And I pulled off on there, not because he was following me particularly, but because I needed to get those girls the door closed on that trailer. And I was so jittery, I turned left, and just like he said, I turned left and pulled her over to the right. So it looked like it was pretty suspicious, no question about it. Anyway, I just pulled around the corner and it seemed like there was a Denny's or something, I'm not sure if there. U-Haul, yeah, and I pulled into the parking lot. And then just sat there for 4 or 5 minutes. And Crosby, I think his name is, I pulled in there and just sat there. Didn't have any lights on or anything. And then a whole bunch of people showed up. And the rest you've seen.
Question 28, did the girls have phones in the trailer, and if so, how many?
Yes, they did. They had 3. I think one of them was actually an iPod, but they had their phones on the whole time because it's just an hour traveled anyway. But I also was concerned to make sure they're safe.
During the course of this trip, did you feel that you were under increased mental pressure?
Objection and relevance.
Sustained.
What was your mental status at the time that you were pulled over?
I kind of explained it the last time in the last question. I was just, kind of anxious. And some of the witnesses have said that I was always anxious around cops. Well, we've kind of been through a lot of experiences in our town. And we've had several raids and stuff. So pretty much everyone in that town is we're just a little reluctant when it comes to police officers. And by the way, I do appreciate them. I don't have anything against them at all. It's one of those weaknesses.
On your way to Flagstaff, did your group stop for the restroom at all?
One of the witnesses described that I'd use the restroom, but that is not even in my nature. And I asked some of my family members last night if they remembered it, and nobody remembers anything. And I just want to make that note.
Objection, you're saying to strike the last couple of statements.
Sustained. The court will order the last answer regarding hearsay statements by family members stricken. However, the answer in terms of Mr. Bateman's personal experience can be considered by the jury.
Question 35, has there been anything in the testimony that you heard during this trial that has surprised you?
Objection and relevance.
Sustained.
Question 36. What are your feelings about the laws of Arizona?
Objection and relevance.
Sustained.
Do you think that is possible that an individual or an organization may have some prejudice against you or the Fundamentalist Church of Latter-day Saints?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Have you become aware at any point of a so-called vendetta against you from any law enforcement agency or other organization?
Objection and relevance.
Sustained.
Question 39. What are a few of the core teachings of the Fundamentalist Church of Latter-day Saints?
Objection and relevance.
Sustained.
Question 40. Did any of the officers who were seen during the August 28th stop at issue come across as vindictive to you?
Objection and relevance.
Will you reread the question, Mr. Hartmanstrom?
Yes, Your Honor. Did any of the officers who were seen during the August 28th stop seem vindictive towards you?
And the objection is relevance.
Yes.
Overruled, I'll allow you to answer.
Yes, they seem to be really decent, every one of them. And like I say, I have nothing against police officers. I really appreciate what they do. Our country wouldn't be safe without them. But I don't really want to mention his name, but I asked him several questions and he yelled at me right in the car. Almost like he had a preconceived decision on what he was going to do.
Question 42. How was it that the fingers of the alleged victims were sticking out of the door, yet the body cam footage viewed at trial shows officers unlatching the door from the outside?
This is my belief is that you can't. That the vertical pipe going up the trailer door. I don't know if you've had experience with trailers, but you can latch the bottom door, the bottom latch, and you have to be pretty tough to get that to stretch that 1-inch pipe to bend and get it to close on the top. I'm sure that maybe you have that experience. So there's just a discrepancy between the testimony and the video cam, the body cam stuff. It's just not matching. I mean, I'm sure that their fingers were sticking out. We already know that. I was on the phone with them. I have a knowledge of that. But so I'm just a little bit reluctant to believe all the video cam stuff. And I'll just leave it at that.
During the August 14th stop that occurred in Mojave County involving the alleged victims riding as passengers in a UTV, why did you appear to be confused when you were contacted by law enforcement?
It's because I was confused. I had no idea those girls were back there. They said they asked me, and they might have. I just forgot. And I'm so busy organizing everything because I'm the driver. And when he said, "Can you fit him in the front?" I was just like, I was completely and totally shocked, because I thought he was talking about the two little motorbikes on the back that were strapped down the back. And so I was just like, why on earth would you stick some motorbikes in the front? Anyway, so I turned into a nose, and she says, "Those girls in the back," or Nose, or maybe might have been somebody else, maybe Rosie, I forget. But she says, those girls are in the back, and I was like, oh my goodness. So anyway.
Do you have any additional thoughts or feelings about that stop?
Yes, I do. I decided, never mind, I decided not to answer that question.
Question 47, why would you knowingly drive off when the door to the trailer was open?
Because I didn't know it was open, and I didn't know they were back there, because I thought I saw them get in the other vehicle just like I wanted when I got to the highway, or got near the highway, or the freeway.
Question 48, what were the items in the trailer for?
We'd use that trailer to pull around on camping trips and picnics, and we usually went on a picnic every week. I made sure that we did lots of hikes and picnics, because this is what we like to do. We had fun. So that's what the whole thing was about, was picnicking and camping.
Did the girls that were in the caravan on the day of August 28th ever confide in you over things?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Question 51, did you make the girls that were in the caravan aware that they had a choice regarding where they would be riding during the trip?
I didn't actually per se tell them, but I just thought they knew my nature, that they can reject anything that I suggest, anything. They might have believed they didn't have a choice, but they absolutely did. Just because they look at me like they did, look at me like I was special or something, whatever you want to call it.
Question 52, did the mothers of the 3 girls that were in the trailer live with you?
Yes, they did. Well, no, one of them, well, I used to live in the same house as the third one, but I eventually moved to a different house. And yes, the 2 mothers of those 2 girls did live in the same house with me.
Question 53, have you ever had a psychoevaluation?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Question 54, do you share your teachings with any outside of your family and friends?
Yes, I do. Anybody that, I'm a strong believer in the law of attraction and science, and mixing the two, so I like to share it with everyone.
before the 2 stops that occurred in the month of August in 2022, did you have any criminal history?
Objection, relevance, will be stricken.
Sustained and stricken.
Question 56. Is it common to have people on side-by-sides or UTVs in Colorado City, Arizona?
It is probably the most common thing, common place in the world to have stuff like that happen. It's just how we grew up. We don't, there's literally dozens and dozens of side-by-sides that drive around every day, and motorbikes with no helmets. And I don't know, there's just probably because there's a lot of children in that town. And so we do a lot of that stuff just by default. So it's kind of our history a little bit.
Question 59. How far is it from the Wendy's to where you were pulled over?
4.3 miles.
Question 61. What were the purposes for the phone calls between you and others in the group?
Mainly just so we could talk. Like I say, I'm a mentor. I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on being mentored by other people concerning businesses and mindset. And so that's what I do is I mentor people and encourage them and teach them. And so that's what I did most of the time. And by the way, if somebody wanted to reject what I teach, they know very well they could. And I won't get angry at them at all. So that's what it was for. It was just, and also in this case, it was for safety because I knew those girls were back there.
Question 63, 62. Generally, did you give your family the right to reject your instructions?
Absolutely. And many of them could say that I often voiced, if you don't want to be here, if you don't want to go with me, if you don't want to do anything, you're welcome to leave right now. They all know that very well.
Question 63. Previous witnesses have mentioned that you may have seemed paranoid or on edge about potential law enforcement contact. Why is that?
Yes, like I previously stated, our town has had a whole lot of raids, literally. In 2008, we had a big raid in Texas where they brought their tanks up to our temple door and smashed the door down.
Objection, relevance, with the striking answer.
Sustained, the court will strike the previous answers irrelevant.
So continue.
No.
Your Honor, can he re-answer the question since the question itself wasn't objected to?
Reread the question. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Previous witnesses have testified that you seemed paranoid or on edge about possible law enforcement contact. Why is that?
As I mentioned earlier, officer forced me to stop. I had telepathic experience, and it was my subconscious mind, I guess, contacted his. I'm not sure how it all works, but and I know many of you have the same experience, but it showed me that they were trying to stack my charges so they could get me in prison. Anyway, then when we stopped at Silver Saddle, that informant was kind of angry, and he walks up and he starts kind of yelling at us, like, "Where are you from?" And so I was like, "Oh my goodness, they're going to call somebody," so I was already on edge. So that's the two reasons why.
Question 64. Was there extra space in any of the other vehicles in the caravan?
Yes, absolutely. They could have all fit in a different vehicle. They chose to ride back there, and I let them or gave my consent.
Question 65. Is it generally the rule that what you say goes for those who are riding along in your caravan?
Yes, it is, but not by my choice. They respect me and love me, but it's definitely not because I tell them, "You better do what I say, or you're going to be damned and go to hell," and all that other stuff.
Question 66. For how long were you on the highway on the stop that occurred on August 14th involving the side-by-side, and what were the speed limits on those roads?
Okay, repeat the question.
Yeah, so I'll break this into two questions. So how far were you going on the highway on August 14th of 2022 with your stop pulling the side-by-side trailer?
Okay, it was approximately 1 mile before the road turned off onto a really quite a small county road.
And then the second part of that question, what were the speed limits on those roads?
55, and when you turn off on the county road, I think it was 35 or 45. We kind of switched back and forth. Sometimes 25 around corners.
Question 67, how much experience do you have as a driver?
I guess I mentioned that earlier, but I have literally hundreds of thousands of miles of driving experience, driving big heavy trailers, pulling stoves, like 40 stoves at a time behind this large gooseneck, or on this gooseneck truck or trailer, behind a big Dodge truck and many other Ford trucks. So I have much experience in pulling trailers.
Question 68, given that there were many other adults on this trip, are you aware why you were the only one arrested in this case?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Question 69, several of the witnesses say that you didn't pull over immediately after you were told by occupants of the trailer that there were in fact people in the trailer and issues with the door. Why do you think they are asserting that you didn't pull over right away?
I don't know, but I did pull over as quick as I could once I got that call. I didn't feel like it was safe at the time, and also because I was so paranoid about that truck behind me. I didn't just pull over to the shoulder immediately because I could see that freeway exit just ahead, not too far, so I was going to pull off on that exit. And so, yeah, like I've already stated, I pulled off, and then Crosby pulled on me beyond the exit. And then I pulled back on the highway and then pulled off right on the exit. And he backed up down the shoulder and followed me into the exit. I forget the name of the exit, or what number it was, or what all the road names are.
Question 70, was it your intention to continue down the freeway past Flagstaff, pulling the trailer with the alleged victims inside?
Not on my life.
Question 71, does your family ever suggest places to go or things to do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Question 73, we observed some length of black material hanging from the left trailer door in Exhibit 59 from the state. What was that material?
Yeah, that was the seal, just like Anderson said. But I've actually ridden in that trailer before. I don't even remember what it was for, but I rode back there, and it's definitely not real good ventilation, but there is ventilation for sure. And there's enough airflow. There is a little bit of circulation to where it's not extremely hot where you can't stand it, but yeah. But that's what the phone was for, is I was just expecting them to tell me, if they had an issue, I'd pull over and we'd fix everything. That's what the phones are for, half of the reason.
Question 74, what is your driving experience?
I guess that's a redundant question, so.
Actually, asked and answered.
Sustained.
And question 75, what has been your experience and occupation?
Objection, relevance, character.
Sustained.
And no further questions.
All right. Cross-examination.
Thank you, Judge.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me okay?
I can.
I want to talk to you about statements you've made about this case, and I want to start with talking about your opening statement. Do you stand by your opening statement?
I probably worded it wrong.
Okay. Do you stand by the claims that you made in your opening statement?
I'm not sure what to say. All I know is I do not want to harm anyone on the face of the whole earth. I don't even like harming animals or bugs. So I don't know why I would harm a person.
Okay, well, let me ask you about some of the statements that you made. And so you said in an opening statement that I shouldn't have done it. Do you agree with that?
I'm not going to agree with that.
You described the situation with the girls being in the trailer as dangerous. Do you agree with that?
Did I say dangerous? I don't remember, but I don't want to, I forget what the word is, I don't want to get myself in trouble to the law, so I'm not going to agree with that.
You described as what you did you described what you did as being dumb. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I did. It wasn't as smart as I could have been, for sure.
You said that the girls begged to be back there,
I did.
and you let them go back there,
Reluctantly, very reluctantly, yeah.
but you gave permission.
I did.
You gave approval.
Not approval. Absolutely not approval. Not one bit of approval, just permission.
But those girls were in your care.
You could argue that. They're in their mother's care.
But at the time, you were the adult that was with them, correct?
And so their mother was right behind us in their vehicles.
You were on the phones with the girls the entire time they were in the trailer?
I think so, pretty much. Except for in splotchy places where the service wasn't good.
And you said nobody, the girls were used to riding in the trailer?
They did a lot, yeah.
And you just said that you rode the trailer.
Yeah. On dirt roads, home on the backwoods, in the boonies. Yeah.
And you said nobody but the girls like to do those things.
I did.
And you would allow it.
Just on the only dirt roads. This was the first time we'd ever done it, absolutely on the freeway, or the highway. At least that I can remember, and there might have been other times, but I sure don't remember.
In one of your questions to law enforcement, you characterized this situation as being extremely dangerous.
I don't remember it. I don't know why I would have said that. It seems like kind of a dumb thing to say.
Would you agree that as the driver of the truck pulling the trailer, this situation and the trailer and the girls was your responsibility?
Yeah.
And you knew they were back there, and you continued on your way with them back there for hours.
I did.
And that included here in the Flagstaff area?
Only because I didn't know they were back there. Once I didn't get Flagstaff, I wanted them to hop in the other vehicles and put their seatbelts on.
But they were back there when you were on Interstate 40 in Flagstaff, correct?
Yeah, but I promise you, I didn't know they were there.
But they were there, you knew they were there when you were on Highway 89, correct?
Yeah, I did.
I'm a little confused. So you learned that they were back, you knew they were back there the entire time, and you also didn't intend to continue that way past Flagstaff, you just testified. Help me understand.
Correct.
Help me understand.
Okay, and I realize I probably didn't describe it real well, but yeah, so we come to 389, stopped at the Soar Saddle, and then I'm not sure why, but we pulled into the station right south of Wendy's. I forget what it is. He stores something there. And I think I went in, and they went in, and then I thought they'd come back out and close the door because I saw Ruth go to the vehicle, and I thought all the other girls had gone to their vehicle because I thought that was, I'd already described it as the plan. And so then I headed out and didn't realize that there was girls still in there doing stuff in the trailer, and the trailer door was open because Ruth forgot to close it. That's what they told me. And so I headed out, and then I got to the freeway entrance, and it was just like right on the freeway entrance. onto the freeway when I got the phone call. So I'm just kind of peeking out, and then all of a sudden this gentleman, Crosby, came up behind me. I'm just kind of freaking out. It's like I really wasn't even thinking straight, but I got off as fast as I could. I exited the freeway, but Crosby followed me right into where I went, to the parking lot, across the street from the U-Haul.
And you're aware that at that point in that area, the girls did get out of the trailer.
You mean after we were stopped?
After you stopped, yeah.
Oh, I knew they were in there long before that because they phone called me.
Okay. There's just this kind of mysterious
Yeah.
time period on
Yeah.
I-40 where you don't know if they were in there or not.
Yeah, there's notice. Well, like I said, it was right when I was getting off of, or how the sidewalk there. It's when I was entering the freeway. That's when I got the phone call, and so I didn't have time to really do anything. Because I thought, I'm going to pull off right on the side, but there's nowhere to pull off until you get quite a ways down into the freeway. And that's just like right at the time when Crosby pulled right behind me on the corner of the trailer. And I'd already had that, kind of freaked out over that guy that came up to us and started asking questions about, where are you from, what you doing. And so I just pulled off as soon as I could, and I could see up ahead that there was an exit, and I was headed for that exit. And like I said, I just freaked out, pulled off to the side. He pulled over beyond the exit and stopped. And so I pulled onto the freeway a little bit and then pulled off on the exit. And so this time I didn't know they were back there, so I was trying to get off as quick as I could. It just seems a bit retarded to me to continue on when I have the doors open. So I just didn't want to do it.
And on that note, I guess from your opening statements, you said, it was dumb, I shouldn't have done it, I already know.
Yeah, but I didn't say that on the freeway. It was going down these very, very slow roads where I could pull off and slow down as slow as I wanted. There wasn't a lot of traffic. And I guess what I'm saying is there's nothing in the whole world that's more important to me than my family and those that I care about. Nothing. I would never in anything try to harm those that I love, or anybody for that matter.
And so you agree that it was your responsibility to keep those girls safe that day?
Yeah, I do.
And you described yourself as an experienced driver. Does that include trucks with trailers?
It does.
And wouldn't you agree that as a driver of a truck with a trailer, it's your responsibility, both the passengers and the cargo?
Yes.
Your responsibility to know who's in your truck cab?
Yes, it is, although I didn't always do it because there's so many people. But, yeah.
And your responsibility to know who's in a trailer that you're pulling?
Yes.
Or what cargo's in there?
Yes, it is.
And that was true on August 22nd. It was your responsibility.
August 28th.
Sorry, August 28th of 2022, I apologize. And August 28th of 2023, that was your responsibility, correct?
Yes, it was.
If you knew that it was unsafe, why did you let the girls be in the trailer?
I just really didn't think it was really unsafe. Maybe just a little bit because I knew that it was a little hot back there and the ventilation wasn't very good, but I've driven, like I say, several 100,000 miles. I've never had any accidents that were my fault. I've been in several accidents, and so I just trusted myself as a driver, and also whether people like it or not, I ask God to bless me every time we hop in that vehicle.
You testified that the items in the trailer were for camping and for picnics, correct?
That's right.
Were the reclining chairs, the couch, was that for camping and picnics?
You know what? I have no clue what those were doing in there. I really don't. I didn't even know they were there until after the picture showed up, and because somebody put them in there when I wasn't watching.
Someone put a big reclining chair in there when you weren't watching?
I didn't know. Yeah, but you have to realize that this trailer was parked at our home in Short Creek in Colorado City, Arizona. Parked there. And the thing you need to realize, please, is that this is a huge family. This is 40 people. And for one little fella like me to try to keep track of everything, it's a big, experience. So, yeah, I just can't keep track of everything. And
Well, it sounds like you're aware of a lot of picnicking and camping things being back there, but just somehow the recliner and chairs escaped you.
yeah, I do.
Well, when you would ride back there, where would you sit?
I only did it once, and I wouldn't sit, I was standing.
You would stand in the trailer?
You know, just, and it was probably empty. I mean, you can empty a trailer, you don't have to have all that stuff, and it only takes you actually several minutes or seconds to remove all the stuff. And the one time I did do it, I was standing.
As an experienced driver, do you think it's a good idea?
Yeah, I do, actually. I just wanted to see how it felt back there. And you have to realize this isn't on the highway, this is on dirt roads. And which was about 99% of all the stuff we did was on dirt roads. Little side by sides, we had motorbikes, and so we drive on these dirt roads. We'd go out to Coral Peak Sand Dunes and drive them around.
Well, I mean, it's one thing for you as an adult to feel like it's okay for you as an adult to be standing back there. Don't you feel like it's a little different with young girls?
It depends on who the driver is. If it's a driver that I trust, then it's a little different.
Well, if you cared about them so much as you've been testifying, I mean, why would you put them in that dangerous situation?
Because they asked.
And you were in charge, and you made a decision, and you let them sit back there.
I did. You must be mistaken me when I say I care about them. I have a heartfelt care for them that's worth my life. And I don't know, have you never had a child to ask you for something that wasn't working for them and they cried or whatever? And
Let me ask you about the phones real quick. And so you talked about you would be in constant communication. Were there times when the calls would drop?
occasionally, well, actually, there's quite a few places they drop.
I'm sorry, say again.
There are quite a few places where they do drop, but it's not for very long. It's only for a few minutes usually.
When the calls would drop, would you immediately try to get back on the phone with them again?
Absolutely. 100%.
And that happened on this trip and August 2022.
Absolutely, and every other trip.
Did you instruct the girls not to get out of the trailer in Flagstaff?
Yeah, I probably did, yeah. Just because the cops were there, I didn't want to create a big scene.
No further questions.
The first is, once you were notified by phone the trailer door was not fully locked, why did you not immediately pull over?
Because I would have smashed into the guardrail of the off-ramp.
Next, did you take the trailer because there was no room for the girls in the cars?
Absolutely not. There may not have been plenty of room, but there was room for everyone.
Why was the trailer taken on this trip since you weren't camping?
Several reasons, because it's just nice to have all that different stuff when you have such a large group of people. And also when you're traveling with children, I'm sure you have children know that when a child needs a potty break, then you can't always find a convenience store, so we took that. That's what the porta potty was for.
Did the girls' parents know they were traveling in a trailer across state?
I think all of them did, but maybe one.
When you got the call that the door was broke, were you surprised the girls were still in there, or did you think they were calling from another car?
No, I was shocked as could possibly be. I had no idea they were in there. I actually kind of panicked.
When you got off the freeway, why didn't you stop right away at a gas station?
There wasn't any gas stations between that, where I exited off of, I forget the side street there as you come on 389.
Why did you drive farther before stopping?
Because it was like literally only 1 mile that I was driving, and I turned off on. Like I said, I don't know the exits, but I exited, and then just made all right corners, and it was literally only from the stoplight. It was literally only maybe several hundred feet that I was taking right-hand turns, so I didn't have to cross through the traffic. And then I just pulled into, made another right-hand turn to the parking lot where I parked.
You said that you are very experienced when it comes to operating a vehicle with a trailer. Even before arriving at Silver Saddle, you operated a truck and trailer on highway speed roads for an extended period of time. Do you believe that if there were children in that trailer, those children would not be subjected to an unsafe situation?
That is kind of an interesting question, but because I was the driver and I felt like I had so much experience, I didn't feel like they were in great danger, but under normal circumstances, yeah, absolutely. Because I would slow down over any dangerous places or bumps or anything of that nature.
If you didn't know that there was a couch in the trailer, where did you expect the girls to sit after you gave them permission to ride in the trailer?
Like I say, I was just a busy person, and I didn't really think about it. But we did have chairs back there all the time. So I probably just subconsciously thought I'd sit on the chairs. I should have thought about it, but I didn't.
Did you look in the trailer or make any attempt to secure items or make it safe for them in any way?
I don't think I did.
Why did you need to take a trailer to an event of which you were going to?
One for luggage and different things. The generator, because we like to stop out the movies and have lunch a lot of times. For the gasoline, for the porta potties, just basically extra space to haul things in.
Why didn't you pull over on the freeway?
There's probably a couple of reasons why. I don't remember exactly what I was thinking, but one of them that's right when Crosby came up behind me, so I was kind of a little bit panicked and wondering why he was just stopping or following me right on the corner of the trailer. And at the same time I was on the phone, so I knew that it was open because those girls' hands were out the door. So I think it was just kind of overwhelmed, probably why they just pull off onto the, but I could look up and see an exit, so I pulled off on the exit, the first exit.
Do you see yourself as the adult ultimately responsible for the minors under your care, or do you think someone else of legal age on this trip was responsible for the decision to allow kids in the trailer?
Yeah, I do. I consider myself responsible.
Does the state have any follow-up questions based upon the jurors' questions?
Yes, Judge. So the generator and gas tank, it sounds like there was gas in the gas tank.
I have no idea.
Well, because you would use it for stops or camping and things, and so wouldn't it make sense there would be gas in the gas tank for the generator?
So if you want to know the honest truth, I really didn't have a clue what was back there. I didn't check it.
Doesn't it seem a little bit irresponsible to not know if there's gas in the gas tank when there's girls inside?
It might be. I could have proved for sure.
You had booked an Airbnb for this trip, correct?
I had, or one of my friends had.
So what's the point of the generator and gas tank?
For when we stopped for lunch on the way in the boonies, the trees and forests and stuff. That's what we did.
You would need to use the generator and gas tank to prepare lunch?
Often, yeah. We use it for I don't remember what we used it for, we just carried it with us.
What kind of stove or device were you powering with the generator?
I don't know, I don't remember. I just know we always carried the generator with us because that's just what we did.
You were asked about not stopping sooner, and you agreed there are gas stations along Highway 89 on the route that you took in the Flagstaff area,
Yes,
past Silver Saddle Center,
yes,
gas stations and restaurants,
yes.
the Flagstaff Mall.
I really don't know.
And then when you turned on a country club, is it your position there were no gas stations to stop at on Country Club?
I had no idea they were back there when I was on Country Club.
You didn't see the gas stations ahead of you as you approached I-40 and Country Club?
No, I had no idea they were back there. I thought they got out and got into different vehicles like we'd already talked about prior to this experience.
When you got into I-40, you didn't notice the signs along the road talking about upcoming gas stations or restaurants?
And there was it's only like 1 mile from where I pulled off of Country Club on the freeway to the exit. I took a mile, maybe 2.
When you got off I-40 into Butler, you didn't notice any gas stations there?
Yes, but across the street, I had to go clear through the traffic and wait through traffic, so I kept turning right, clear around, and then into the parking lot where I parked. I just kept a right hand turn, so I didn't have to go through traffic and leave, because I was a little concerned that they don't want to come up with further. I mean, I was really concerned.
You didn't notice the gas station on the right after the exit?
I don't remember a gas station. Oh, yeah, I told them this. I must have been, if there's one there, then I must have been so concerned about that guy falling that I didn't even see it.
What about restaurant parking lots?
It must be way different than I remember, because I don't remember anything. I just kept turning right till I pulled into the parking lot. I turned left because first, and then I turned right, just like Crosby was saying. I got clear across the traffic because that guy was right behind me. And I knew those girls were back there, the doors open, so I was kind of scared. So I just kept turning right and kept turning back into the parking lot parked.
So you drove past the Subway restaurant as well?
I don't remember anything.
And you missed the McDonald's?
I don't remember anything other than I just parked as quick as I could, what I felt like as quick and safe as I could.
Well, it seems like you went past an awful lot of businesses, gas stations and restaurants.
I don't know if it seemed that way to you, but it didn't to me. It seemed like I tried to stop them as quick as I could. What I'm saying is I care about those people more than my life. I'm not trying to harm them.
Were you just so paranoid about police that you didn't notice all of those businesses?
I must have been, who knows?
Why did you tie down the 5-gallon jugs of water?
I didn't tie them down. I didn't know they were tied down. Someone else probably did it. You have to realize that, like I said, there's so many people in this group, and it's very difficult for me to keep track of everything that goes on. Yeah.
Next, as an experienced driver, why did he not check the cargo trailer himself?
I should have.
Why did he not lock the cargo door himself?
I should have.
Is that part of an experienced driver's responsibility?
Yeah, it is. Like I say, it's busy, too busy.
If nothing was wrong in your view of things, why were you so paranoid?
I'm wrong is an interesting question. But part of the reason I was paranoid is because the first stop that I had when I had that telepathic experience, whatever you want to call it, and also the 911 caller, I think is who it was, came up and he was a little bit frustrated. I said, "Where are you guys from? What are you doing?" And so that got me kind of paranoid. And I knew I knew that some police officers would have a problem with being in a trailer, even though I did look on the internet. And I typed, or maybe I asked somebody to do it, maybe I asked Brenda or somebody to do it, to see if it's illegal for people to ride in
No
trailers.
objection to strike, or sorry, objection to strike.
Excuse me.
Sustained is to the last portion of the answer, and that portion is stricken from the record.
I got it, I appreciate that, I see. In other words, we looked on Google to see if.
Objection.
Sustained.
Can you explain to me what I'm doing wrong?
If nothing was wrong in your view of things, why were you so paranoid?
Yeah, I remember now. I was just paranoid because, like I say, the witness, the silver saddle that walked up and asked us these questions quite, emphatically. Where are you guys from? What are you doing? So it kind of scared me a little bit. And also the fact that they had called me and we were on the phone. And I was concerned about me.
All right, thank you. And does the state have any follow-up questions that they wish to ask in response to those last jury questions?
Sure, this mysterious individual, what were they confronting you about?
Mysterious individual, what do you?
This person with the silver saddle center, what were they confronting you about?
Oh, I don't know. I just saw him in the rearview mirror and I could see his facial expressions and he was talking to one of the girls. So I really don't know what he was asking. But they just told me later that, hey, he was asking, what are we doing, where are we from? What are something to do with their dresses or something, I don't remember.
Do you think he was concerned about the girls being in the trailer?
Yes, but at that time they weren't in the trailer. They were, we weren't driving, we were parked. They were getting in and out, getting stuff out of the trailer. Because that's where we stored all our stuff.